Thank you so much. I'm just got it. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. You should see just the presentation. Is
Yes.
that what you think? Great, excellent. Thank you everyone for use being out of the way here for attending tonight. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Donna Seiler. I retired last year from Corning Incorporated after 43 years in technical roles in 4 different businesses, and 25 years of that I spent leading reliability engineering. And reliability is a discipline that's all about problem avoidance and risk management. And this also applied to safety, a lot of safety in all of our labs. So as a manager, I also have responsibility for strategy, people development, and budget and such. But now this training is on the reporting of incidents and near misses, which is a national initiative that our council is responding to. But it's also just a really good practice because fundamentally it can help to identify and fix problems and help people help prevent people from getting injured in the future. So these are draft slides that'll be used in the training this year, and we'd like your feedback. What do you like? What don't you like? Is anything confusing? Anything wrong? Any suggestions? We also hope that these slides will be able to stand on their own without someone having to present them. So please bear that in mind as I review them. All right, so this starts to explain why reporting is important. Um, we need to be proactive in preventing future problems. And the information from incidents can be used to identify root causes and ways to fix them. And the report itself creates some support to make changes. And in doing that, it also helps to promote a culture of safety. It's one of the ways to live out the Scout oath and law, and adults should set an example on how to address these safety concerns. A good safety track record can also result in reduced insurance rates, which hopefully means more money for the council. The report enables insurance claims, and it's how we support national initiatives. But you do need to stress that this is not about assignment of blame. It's really more positive recognition for helping to prevent problems. All right, so continuous improvement is the key reason why reporting is encouraged. It's worth noting that training down here is another way by which we continually improve. But specific to the reporting, we improve by identifying what needs to be fixed and working on it. And when we compile that information related to incidents, it gives the council information with which to better understand risk, and then that communication enables opportunities across the council for improvement. And everyone in scouting can help by offering suggestions and by reporting incidents and essays. It's how we help prevent potential injuries. The quotes from my BSA echo what I've just said, just that reports provide an opportunity for analysis and continuous improvement. So we really want everyone's help in finding those risks or seeing the risk and then calling them to our attention so that they can get fixed. So let's look out for each other. Um, so if to encourage reporting, the board is requesting that district newsletters have a section on incident and near miss reporting. This will give the leadership an opportunity to thank the districts for supporting the initiative, but more importantly, this open communication also serves as reminders to other districts about the need to submit reports. Education and awareness across the council on the risk also happens, and it's an opportunity to prevent problems in other areas through the learning obtained and communicated. That's why we want to make this a requirement that in the district newsletter there's a section on incident and near miss reporting. So now I'm going to get into who and how to report. Anyone can submit a report, and this is how you find the link from scouting.org. You go to Scouting Safely and then Incident Reporting. Once you click on the Incident Reporting link, it'll bring you to this page with the 3 report options for incidents, youth protection infractions, and near misses. And again, we want to emphasize that anyone can report. So, how do you report? You first select the appropriate form, whether it's an incident, a youth infraction, or near miss, and preserve and document the information. You can download the appropriate form. You can print it and fill it in and mail it to your local council. And the council locator button here will, for our location, give you the Elmira address. You could also fill it in electronically and email it to our Scout executive, Brad Bodeau. His email address is there. Or you could just use the form to help you collect information to then fill in a case at the emergency reporting link. And this link actually can be used for non-emergencies as well. And so now what I'm going to do is cover each of these different types of reports. Make sure you understand the difference between them all. So an incident is an event that causes injury, illness, or property damage during any activity or location that requires intervention of a medical provider beyond Scout rendered first aid. It applies to all activities and locations, including transportation. So when do you report? Serious incidents need to be reported immediately to the Scout executive, and then he has to enter those into Let's Connect within 24 hours. By the way, this information is all at this link on incident reporting requirements. I tried to provide some of the additional detail here if you want more than what I've captured here. So serious incidents include things like fatalities, sexual or physical abuse, life-threatening injuries, and so on. But really anything for which media attention is anticipated. The less serious incidents, the information needs to go into Risk Connect within 72 hours. And this is, when a medical professional is required, emergency room, etc. For employees of scouting, if there's a occupational injury, those need to be reported within 24 hours, and fatalities obviously immediately, no later than 8 hours. So a little different for the employees. So I thought I'd show the form just to get people familiar with what they look like. So this is the incident reporting form. So some of the general information on the incidents, and then if there was a vehicle informed, and any witnesses. It's pretty standard, pretty straightforward, and as always, you can also contact Brad if you've got any questions on these. I think, Brad, in general, you like to be aware of these even before they get submitted, correct? So just to have people call you with questions would be helpful as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So next, near miss. What is a near miss? It's an event that did not result in injury, illness, or damage beyond Scout rendered first aid, but had the potential to do so. So if you think, oh, that was close, it was a near miss. If you see a risk that could cause an incident and that risk hasn't been addressed, you could report it as a near miss, so it gets addressed. In general, something that could have been much worse is a near miss, an opportunity to fix a potential future problem. So just use common sense, take the time to submit the report and help prevent those future injuries. Here's an example is tripping over debris in the axe yard and getting scraped. It could have been worse. Getting scratched by thorns when hiking is not a near miss. It doesn't get much worse than that typically. even though it might need some help rendered first aid. So when to report, it's within the 72 hours. And this is what the form looks like. It only requires the name of the submitter, and this is needed, for potential questions and follow-up by National. It does say describe the incident. And by definition, I'm hearing this is not an incident, but we'd like you to fill in what happened. We put in a request to change the form to National because of that kind of discrepancy in the definition, just to make it clearer in the form. All right, and then finally, youth protection infraction. Youth protection infraction is any occurrence of abuse, violations of policies or guidelines, inappropriate behavior by a scout, leader, parent, or other at any location where scouting activities occur. The guidelines have provided the link to the guidelines here. When to report sexual or physical abuse must be reported immediately. It's mandatory for any youth protection infraction to be reported. These need to be reported immediately. And if it's an incident of child abuse, you should first call local law enforcement and child protective services, and then also contact Brad. And so at this point, maybe, I apologize, I'm not up on all the details. I know Brad would like to be contacted immediately. The requirements also say you can contact the Scouts First helpline. So that apparently is another option. Brad, do you want to add anything here?
If it's an incident of child abuse or suspected child abuse, I do need to be informed. There is the option to call a Scouts First helpline, and that should be used kind of as a second. If you can't get me directly, then it should be reported to the Scouts First helpline. Um, but I do need to be informed.
Thank you. Thank you. So for less serious incidents, still please contact Brad, and then he will make entry into this connect. And some of the examples of those are listed here. And then the form, basically, obviously, details of the incident, who filled in the form, who reported it, who is the victim, who is the violator, and whether or not it was reported to any law enforcement. Just again, showing you the forms give you a little sense for what's in them before you have to do them. All right, so the scouting has this flow chart to help determine what report to submit. Basically start at the top and, somebody hurt, yes, fatality or catastrophic, yes, immediately call the scout executive and submit a report. We have two clarifications for the Five Rivers Council. As you go through these, it seems to give you an option on whether or not you want to submit a near miss. And for us, we want to say if it's a near miss, it should be recorded. So we don't want you to think there's kind of an option there on reporting near misses. Please report it if it is indeed a near miss. All right. So wanted to also make a little announcement on what's coming soon. So we'll put together some detailed safety pages. As a new member of the scouting community, I was impressed with the extensive information on safety. However, I also really struggled to get my head around it all because it was kind of scattered, a little redundant. And so the concern is that for folks who are volunteering and have limited time, it's really challenging to quickly identify what's required. So we created a safety detail slides for Five Rivers website to be an easy reference for volunteers. This is going to be linked to the new website that Jill Van der Wolstein has been leading the development. The objective is to encourage and enable leaders and scouts to identify and complete the requirements because, preparing and planning for the activity is key to having that successful event and being ready to act in case there is an emergency. Also helps enable a good outcome, and that safety track record can potentially help reduce insurance rates. Here's just a couple of examples of the pages. Um, they're organized in terms of before and then during and then after the activity, and then in a format of what, why, when, where, who, and how. So it's clear who's responsible, when do you have to do it, and then under the how, there's links to the national pages. Just try to get it in a little bit more organized fashion for you. Okay, finally, we've been talking about reporting as a way to prevent others from having future problems, but we first need to be vigilant when planning and completing activities. So, please go to the Safe Scouting Guide and look up the activity that expect the activity that you're going to be planning, and look for what are the guidelines. Search for safety moments. A lot of safety moments have additional insight into the activities and watch out. Obviously, use the SAFE checklist. You have a qualified adult. Have you assessed the risk, and also know what to do if the risk is happening, so you're not scrambling in the middle of an emergency trying to figure out how to react. Have you confirmed physical and mental capability of the scout that's going to be participating, and equipment and environment? Make sure all conditions are good. And then finally, pause before you start, assess hazards, which is immediately before you start. Understand how to proceed safely, share your plan, execute the activity safely. Um, this is this is really what we want to do, so that we can avoid having to submit those reports. So that's all I have. Now, were there any questions on the chat? If anybody wanted to just take themselves off, the mic, I can go back to a page if you have a question.
Yeah, thanks. And we're gonna kind of leave you here for a minute while we chat, and give everyone a chance to type if they want to while we're monitoring it, or maybe absorb and think of the question. So I did in the chat room. If you take a look, I sent you the direct link to the that national page where the incident reporting information and direct access to the forms are. So that's there. Um, so I mean, this is great. I think, and you just recently come on board. What did you think of the information that you found so far?
That's a question to everybody, not me.
No, it's for you. Everybody I've
Oh,
got on here is experienced in scouting, and you've come on board with a great background. Um, what do you think about the resources and materials that are out there? I know a lot of people don't even know about them, but what have you thought about the material you've started looking at and putting together? It's a great job that you've been putting together.
yeah. I mean, it's solid material. It's just overwhelming. There's
Yeah.
so much there, and I mean, I spent, because I'm retired, I spent a few hours just trying to get my head around it, and then I started thinking, oh, look, all these poor volunteers who are juggling work and the kids and these activities, they don't have time to try to find out, what do I need to do for this thing. So that's where these pages um, that were developed for the website. Let me see, there it goes. That we developed for the website. The goal was just to make it easier. You don't have to go through all of the various pages and sites at the national. But in general, the materials, um, with all my, I've done safety for, over 40 years as well. So I'm real familiar with units reporting and all of the precautionary measures and that's why I actually emphasize, be ready to respond if the risk does happen. Because when you're working with things like hydrofluoric acid and some of the things that we use in the last lab, you've got to know exactly what to do immediately, or sometimes even it could be fatal. So that's why I was trying to emphasize that too.
Good.
Fast to react well.
So for the next one I have all right, and I'm going to ask Brad to come on for this one because it's kind of a dual banger question there, and I didn't even prep him. So let's see if he's still got his uniform on. Hey, there he is. So, as I understand it, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe talk about the process a little bit, and neither one's ready for the question. Is so a unit fills out, let's say, the near miss report, right? And they submit that near miss report. It goes in to you guys. Do you guys what do you do with it next? I mean, do you review it? Do you take action? Do you come and yell at the unit because they screwed something up? I mean, what's the what's the purpose of the near miss report, I guess?
Now, the answer is review it and enter it into the Risk Connect system so that National has a record of the near miss. Um, then Donna and I will discuss as I get the monthly report of all our reports that were entered, whether it be an incident report or a near miss, and we really use it to assess. Do we have a problem somewhere? Is there an issue we can solve? Are there lessons that can be learned and applied in the future, as education uh, for folks? And we've had a recent near miss that reached out to the unit and thanked them for submitting the miss because it showed us where there was a blind spot in our training and knowledge base in the council that we need to address so that our scouts remain safe.
And that's actually quite often some of the corrective actions on incidents and near misses is additional training, right?
So it's not being used as a gotcha on the units, or we're looking to I'm going to use this as a way to get Mark McGrain out of that unit. It's not being used as a gotcha then.
No.
Oh, okay.
And it could be something as simple as,
thank you.
Gee, we've had a lot of near misses with people slipping at this spot in camp that's a somewhat dangerous spot. Let's look at that spot and see what we can do to improve the facility there. Or, hey, we're getting reports of, say this particular hazard. Maybe we should have a roundtable topic on, on that to do some additional training for unit leaders on whatever that topic was. So it's really a way for us to improve um, our safety and look at things from an educated standpoint, and then be able to, make changes as necessary to make sure that the program is running safe. Um, that's really what it's all about.
Okay.
I think the first words we'd say when we get one would be, "Thank you for submitting this." You're helping to protect other people. That's my first reaction when I see that.
So I think, Brad, this is probably going to just be more directed towards you just because of your experience here. Donna was doing a great job presenting about like the near miss and what that means and what an actual incident is. And she talked about on the youth protection incidents, but then we were talking about membership infractions. Now, are all and I'm probably going to use this wrong because I'm only so good talented with this stuff, but is there like a I don't know, maybe a near miss membership infraction or not one of those that it's important for you to know, but and education in an area, but I'm probably not explaining this right.
Are you meaning like a violation of youth protection policy where nothing actually happened,
like what?
that sort of thing?
Give me an example. And we'll see if I'm on the right path.
Um, there was a leader who was spotted in a one-on-one situation with a youth. Nothing happened. Innocent, relatively innocent, no ill intent, just a mistake is a violation of our policy. That needs to be reported. It is not a near miss. It is a policy violation that gets reported through the youth protection part of the system. So when it comes to youth protection, um, and kind of that the standards and policies, there are no near misses. They are infractions. Now, um, we do have those. Things happen occasionally. We correct them. I work with the national office on appropriate action. And usually with that sort of thing, it comes back to education. We had a situation with a unit that um, they were between a rock and a hard place in getting a scout out of a camping event, um, because they were afraid that um, the scout would hurt himself or others. The problem was they only had two registered leaders at the event. but they needed to get the scout off site um, and to meet up with legal guardian in a different town. So that left a one-on-one situation with the adult and the scout, and then no two deep leadership back at the campsite. So we discussed that situation. Um, there was, it was more of an education response and talking through with the unit leadership on how do we avoid this sort of tough situation where a judgment call had to be made for safety. Um, and how could in the future, how can the unit avoid the situation where they've got something that happens and all of a sudden they're in a youth protection violation situation? And what the unit ultimately decided was there always needed to be more than two, the bare minimum, um, registered adults when they go unit camping.
So, no, go ahead. Finish your thought. I had a question about
it. No, go ahead.
Okay. So, and this will be my last one, I promise. So, just from my background, outside of scouting, so to me, this sounds a lot like a cover your butt scenario, right? Like, let's use your scenario. Let's use your example. To me, it sounds like it's so much better. I'm reporting it because I made it ups, but so much better than somebody. And I'm being upfront and telling you about it, but so much better than finding out, or the council or someone finding out about it afterwards for something we didn't know about, because it has a tendency to look like something not right was going on. Am I correct in that? I mean, it gives you a little bit more credence that you reported it ahead of time than you were caught by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. I don't have anything else, and I haven't seen anything come in the chat room. So, again, if you do have questions, please reach out to your professional, reach out to your commissioner, reach out to Donna. Information's out there. We're more than happy to email that. Donna just put her information in the chat room. She's looking for feedback on the presentation. Again, I think it was great. I can't wait to see the information coming up on the site that's bringing all of this in, so people don't have to look in all those areas. I'm very excited about this. And again, I just want to thank you, for Donna, for coming in and doing the presentation, and Brad for your add-on support unexpectedly. Put on the spot. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hope it helps.
All right. Have a nice night. Thank you.